Right, so IPv6 is a modern technology. It's only been around 25 years, and the world is finally starting to realise this, especially including at York. I'm from University of York. I'm basically pushing us to roll this out because nobody else is. So very, very quickly, I'm sure you all know what IPv6 is, why it's a good thing. There's a v4 address, there's a v6 address, much more address space. To be fair, we have a /16, so we're not massively short of address space, though we do NAT our Wi-Fi, and it'd be really nice to start giving people public addresses. One of the other things, though, quite a few universities, especially in China and things like that, just expect IPv6 to exist, and you know, there are some universities who have basically had to bring up IPv6 connectivity really quickly because they need to collaborate with someone who just assumed it would be there and had no arrangement for it not to be. So over the last year, I've basically been pushing this. We've got an address space. We're routing it through our firewalls. The firewalls do both v4 and v6 natively. We route it across our campus infrastructure. And we're finally getting to the point where we're pushing services publicly. And I just thought I'd very quickly say, you know, some of the problems that we've seen. Obviously very, very quickly, because I'll get shouted at soon. So we've been focusing on stuff that's visible to the world and stuff that lets us reliably roll stuff out that's visible to the world. We've been very much ignoring user connectivity on campus and mostly focusing on services. I'll come to why very soon. So all of our monitoring stuff is v6 capable and v6 enabled so that we know that the v6 services we know we're offering are working. We've enabled v6 on various internal stuff that doesn't necessarily get visible, but it means that internally v6 starts to be used. All of our authentication for our wireless goes over v6 today, and various other bits and pieces, mostly low-level infrastructure. And then we've started pushing out to actually publicly visible services. The first one we did is what we call our large file transfer service, think Dropbox but hosted on site. And our very first v6 connection was from some Sky Broadband thing at home. And we're pushing to other things. So name servers are the obvious next one because lots of people do name servers because it's an easy one, and I control the name servers so I can just do it without trying to justify it. All of our authentications for the Wi-Fi now go over IPv6, which is nice. Or 16% of all of our DNS queries go over IPv6. That's from the world to us. About 15% of the large file transfers do. We will be at some point soon dealing with our filers, Wi-Fi controllers, and then the next thing will be Edge Your Home, hopefully, so we'll be able to give IPv6 addresses to users, and that's when it starts getting really interesting. We're at the point now where new services are v6 enabled by default, unless there's a reason not to. Some of the challenges we've had. So the main challenge is the top one. We rely on radius in order to determine who is using a connection. Janet, our ISP, are very clear that we need to be able to attribute every single byte to a person. So our wide switch people, because of the way IPv6 works when you auto-generate an IP address, we need to know who is using an IP address that we never assigned them, and our switches don't currently support that, so we're not doing wired stuff. That's actually the main reason why we're pushing it over wireless first, even though it seems more scary, because our wireless stuff does radius properly. Enterprise software is shite. You all know this. And there's certain vendors who just don't understand. That's it. Yeah.